Got questions about spiritual life, relationships, inner peace, or navigating everyday challenges with grace? Welcome to Ask A Swami, a Q&A series where you ask and Swamis from Yasodhara Ashram share their insights and experiences. In this episode, I speak with Swami RadhaTarananda about her advice to her younger self and the power of reflection.
Murali Krishna, Mukunda Krishna, Mohana Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Namaste, Swami RadhaTarananda, and welcome to Ask A Swami.
Namaste, Katie. It's so good to have time with you today.
Yes, it's a pleasure. Our question for today is, Dear Swami, what advice would you give to your younger self when you first started on the spiritual path?
Oh, wow. What a question. That's a good one. I actually came onto the path when I was pretty young, in my early 20s. And boy, if I feel back into that time, my younger self needed a lot of encouragement to keep going. I think many of us show up that way. I know that I definitely did. And if I think of the long view, where I was then and where I am now, and what I would say to that person to stepping onto the path is have faith in the process, because I didn't know where it was going to lead. And I really needed some help with some things. And I remember I was told that the issues that I was working with trauma, that there was no resolution and there was no help for it. And I remember feeling quite down about that, because here I was, I had trauma that I was dealing with, and I came for help. And it's not like the ashram is set up to do that, but I was led, and I was led to every part of it that I needed to be led to heal. And that's a path. That wasn't healed overnight. But the ashram practices have been key for my healing. And I've also received lots and lots of help. But if I think of that person who showed up, that's what she would need the most, is to have faith in that process and to not really listen to what others said and what the research said. Because in the end, it was the teachings and the practices that really helped me, along with some really good guidance. So I would say that's the most important part. And having faith, I also was taught, and I mean, that's part of the ashram teachings, is how to have faith in my inner spark. So I'm not talking about something necessarily outside of me. Like, there is a power that guides me, but the power also comes from inside. And although I was being led along this pathway, I also didn't articulate it at the time. Like, I didn't come in saying, I'm being led. I just landed and needed help, and I was very clear and determined to do what I needed to do to move my life along. So having faith in that way was probably the key ingredient that I needed to have, that it would work. So I was raised with a certain religion that emphasized that, but it also really helped me to have that. What do you think of that?
Well, I don't know. It's hard for me to think about what I would say to my younger self, because I feel like I am my younger self. So it's interesting to hear like that message of faith. And yeah, I think the word faith for me, like, I'm not really sure what it means to me. And oftentimes what I relate it with is trust. And at the same time, actually, now that I think about it, this week and the last few weeks, I've been working with the word faith and the word fear, and how my mind can tend to go to that place of fear with the unknown and think of kind of worst case scenarios. And yet, if I'm able to trust and have faith that everything will work out for me in whatever it is, how much more freeing that can be for my mind, instead of getting all worked up about a certain situation and how it might go, to just trust that it will actually just be okay. And that even if it's not I'll figure it out as the time goes.
There we go. Yeah. It's like it's working with it, isn't it? It's not somehow just letting it be airy-fairy, but it's like, for me, it's being led by a spark inside myself that I just know it's going to help. And I follow that spark that knows something that I don't know. So when I look back even at my younger self, like the leaps that I was able to take then, I don't think I'd even leap in the same way now, but I did then. And it led to what I needed to know. Yeah, that's such a big topic of faith. I remember with Swami Radha, there was one time in the ashram life when things were really difficult. And I kept looking at her and going, how is she handling this? Like, this is so difficult, situations that were arising. And soon enough, there was a video that came out, and she gave a video, and she spoke about living on faith and how Swami Shivananda, her guru, had asked her to do that, like coming back to Canada and starting an ashram and living on faith. And she didn't ask us to do it in the same way, but there's the essence of that, of accepting and not knowing and going toward a vision that is not manifest yet, but accepting that it'll all work out. And if it's not working out yet, it will, because it's still more to go with it. I don't know how people could live without having some kind of faith. Maybe it's not articulated. Like, I would not have said that. I was turning at the time when I came in and was with my younger self. I was going against my religious upbringing. So maybe at the time, even saying have faith might have turned me off. But yeah, that's what it is that has guided me. Or I'm led by a knowing. Maybe it's not the faith itself, now that I start to tease that out more. I'm led by a knowing that I'm following something inside myself that connects and resonates, and I watch for that. I watch for what resonates the most. I might have to come back to some examples to tease that out a bit more. I'm thinking of going to India for the first time, and this was pre-ashram life. I was very young, and I remember being in India with a large group of people, and then there were my smaller group of friends, and our bus broke down. And my closest friend came up to me and said, there's a cave at the side of the road, an underground cave. Let's go while we're waiting for this bus to be fixed. So we went in, and I saw this monk come out with an orange robe and a shaved head. And he went into kind of like a shrine, like enclosed place where there was a figure. And like now I would say that was a goddess of some sort, and how he lit the candles. And I remember going, oh my goodness, this is amazing. What's happening? And my friend grabbed onto my arm and said, are you experiencing it? Like, is this really happening? And it was happening. We came from Western culture. She was from Northern Quebec and I was from Ottawa. And it was like an amazing experience of seeing something so otherworldly for the first time. And I remember when I came back to Canada several months later, longing for that and knowing that I would find that, knowing that somehow there was this deep yearning and it couldn't be satisfied by normal life. It just couldn't. And I was going, what am I going to do? And I remember applying to go to an ashram in the States, and I would learn pottery, which I knew and I loved. And then I met a teacher that came to where I was living, and she told me about the ashram. And the minute I heard about it, I went, that's it. And so that's what I'm talking about when I think of having faith. It's following a spark that leads me to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And I trust that. I've also had times when it's like, I have no idea what to do next. It feels like life is falling apart and everything that I have is falling apart around me and the rug's being pulled out from under my feet. And I've been through that enough times to know that I'm going to get turned upside down and then right side up again. And I'm going to land on my 2 feet and I'm going to be able to follow that spark. And I just know it. So there's a faith in that at each point along the journey, I'm going to be led. I've also learned from that the darkest times are what is needed for me to take the next step in my evolution. And when I look back and go, thank God I'm not that person that I was before all of that happened. So I'm trying to expand what I think of faith, because it's not like I was raised in the Catholic tradition where faith was emphasized, but it's like, don't make sense of the world, just have faith. And that doesn't resonate with me. Like, I need to make sense of my world and need to make sense of what's happening.
And I wonder too, in thinking of giving advice to your younger self, what would you say regarding practice?
Oh, man. My younger self took to practice because I had, I'm thinking of that person that came to the ashram, I had been introduced to Hatha Yoga at the time. And I saw how much it changed my life and how much it was changing my life. So I resonated toward that, or swam toward that like a duck in water. Like, I just knew that it really helped me. And I also knew that staying with the practice would continue to help me. And then I was introduced to more practices. And they've taken me through everything. And here at the ashram, so many practices are offered. So for so many different kinds of people, but also with regard to me, it's on different days, I need different practices. And the practice might be go outside and go into the forest and just watch to see what comes up. What I'm always led. And again, back to faith, but it's like I also have to take action. And it's not airy-fairy. It keep my feet on the ground and keep going forward. And I'm always, even though it works for so long, I'm always very surprised by how I'll ask a question and then almost immediately, not all the time, I'm led to the right answer, or the answer that's right for me on any given day. So that's how I kind of operate, is just following a spark.
And in that, I heard a little bit about reflection too, like asking a question and waiting for a response. Mm-hmm. Was that a big kind of part of your younger self's journey on the path of spirituality, and especially in relationship to Swami Radha?
Yes. that came out sounding guttural, like a lion. I've learned the power of reflection and how it keeps me honest, how it keeps me moving forward, how it leads me. So when I talk about faith, it's like reflection just leads me in that way. Mm-hmm. I've learned so much from reflection. I usually start my day with dreams, with my dream, and I've learned to do that at the ashram, but it gets my reflective juices all warmed up for the day. And if I don't have a dream, then I'll write down the first thoughts that I'm thinking of. So I just immediately go to my notebook and start in, and that gets me processing. I also will start to do some Hatha Yoga or hidden language, and that gets me reflecting. And I think the power of reflection, I'm glad you've brought that up, because it's like my intuition speaking back to me, or my higher self speaking back to me. Like when I look at my journals, there's something that speaks so loudly. It's like, and I get to see I'm being led from one thing to the next thing, to the next thing. It's not linear the way that I'm saying it, but I'm being led. And I watch for the spark, like I'll review my diaries each week, and I'll watch for the spark in the week and see myself go up and down and all the way around. And from that, there's always something that leads me into the next week. It's like a progress tracker that I can follow, and it keeps me. Again, I really like to be reminded, and I remind myself, keep my feet on the ground as I reach for the stars.
Yeah, reflection is such a central practice here at the ashram, and it's such a helpful one. I mean, before I came here, I journaled a lot throughout my life. I've had journals since I was a teenager, and yet there's something about asking very specific questions about things that are happening. The questions like, where am I? What am I aiming? What am I working towards? What do I need to let go of? Where do I want to go? That can be so helpful in understanding my path.
Yeah, I don't know how people survive without having this tool and these kinds of questions. I always take a question into my day and follow that. And I find like how it shows up is so amazing. And I'll do it with satsang as well. Like I'll just go and receive and ask that something in satsang help me to understand more about myself and my day. And then I watch to see. Sometimes, a lot of the time, it's about what the person's speaking about, but all other things will start happening, and I'll, the way that a person looks, and I'll go, that I just need to know about that and follow that. It's a path that is very, very deep for me. Well, I have a question for you then, Katie. What would you say to your younger self? I know that you said that you're young, but what would you say for your younger self stepping onto the path?
I think definitely one of the things I would say would be to just keep going and to trust the joy and the sense of connection that I feel while practicing with others, particularly in a hatha yoga setting. And to follow the threads, like now kind of looking back on the last 12 years of my life and how one thing has led to another, I see all of that coming together and leading me to where I am now. And I think there was times back in those 12 years and throughout those 12 years where I didn't necessarily understand why things were happening a certain way or why I was going to a certain place or talking to a certain person. And so I would just say, like, pay attention to what's happening and know that each interaction is leading you to where you need to go. I think that's what I would say.
Yeah, it sounds quite similar. Like you talk about the threads and I'm talking about the spark. Like
the spark. It's just like to keep going.
Yeah.
And then I think of like, what would I have said to myself when I first came to the ashram, which was, it'll be 5 years in a couple of months. And I would just say, like, trust the connection that you feel. Because when I first came here, I was feeling so much love for this place and such a deep sense of, connection to the teachings. But I was like doubting it. I was like, oh, well, I don't know. Like, who knows? The world's really big. I'm only 20. But now I would say to that 20-year-old self, like, just trust the connection and keep going with it. And I also did keep going with it. So I don't know if me saying that to my younger self would really change that much. But to, just trust in the process and trust that connection and try to clear away that doubting mind. And be easeful with myself and my practices, because I can tend to be very intense and disciplined and very structured with my practices. And in the last year, I've kind of been exploring the opposite of that and allowing to be softer with myself and my offerings. And so to that younger self, I would say, like, keep that balance.
Yeah. As you're speaking, there's one thing that I'm thinking of too, is how, like, when I came as a young person on the path, there was a part of me that knew how to trust my that spark, but I would never put words to it. And now I understand it more, because in the reflective process, and especially working with my dreams, it has shown me how my unconscious knows everything, and that what it's helping me to do is bring it conscious, so that I'm able to articulate what's really happening. Whereas when I came onto the path, it was all happening and manifesting, but I had no words or the kind of way to articulate that for myself. So there's something about that power of reflection too that makes it, oh, that's what I'm doing. I'm following this. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Swami RadhaTarananda, for speaking with me today about the advice that you would give your younger self. I'm very grateful to hear your words and to have had this time with you.
Namaste, Katie. Thank you so much for asking me.
Yasodhara Ashram is located in British Columbia on the unceded traditional territory of the Ktunaxa and Sinixt peoples. If you have questions that need answers, you can submit them to the form link in the description. You can learn more about the ashram and Swami Shivananda Radha's teachings by visiting our website at yasodhara.org.